You boil the water in a kettle for saving time. Don't bother boiling your water in a saucepan. Place it in a saucepan on the stove. That way it's already preheated. Then you start the stove. Therefore, it doesn't use much energy or gas to reach to full boiling temperature. Then we just wait for it to boil. While we're waiting, I'm about to make the equivalent of about 12 litres of kombucha. I use 12 pairs of ordinary black tea. It's just the cheap black tea that you find at Woolworths or Coles or any supermarket. Don't go for the expensive stuff. One, it costs you more, and two, you'll find there's antimicrobial properties found in some other teas. Alright, some people add hot water, sugar at this stage, but I don't. I just give the tea a good boil and soak. So we'll just wait for that to warm up now. And then when it's ready to a rolling boil, we'll put the tea bags in. Yeah, so typically what I always do is I boil the water, place the tea bags in, put a lid on, let it soak for most of the day till late afternoon or early evening. Then add my sugar, which will be 3 cups of sugar, of ordinary white sugar, nothing special, and then begin to make the kombucha from there. Alright, so she's about a rolling boil. I get a fork and push it in to make sure we get a good soak. You want to get as much done as possible, and you don't want it joining up too much. You've only got it in a small saucepan. Even though this isn't 12 litres of tea, it's like a concentrate. So you don't need to boil 12 litres of water in a large pan to make 12 litres of kombucha. We need to keep it as simple, cheap, and time consuming, time using as best we can. Alright, so once we get to that point, we're there. All we need to do is place a lid on that, wait about 8 to 10 hours, and we're right. Turn the gas off and let it sit. Alright, now we've let the tea bags soak for a good day. We take out the tea bags, give them a good squeeze. Some might complain, "Oh no, he's using his bare hands." Well, tough. Alright. Once we've taken the tea bags completely out, we can put in sugar. When I'm making 12 litres of kombucha, I always use 3 cups. So that's 12 litres, 3 cups. Pour it in. It's typical cheap white sugar that I use. I don't use anything special. I don't use honey. I don't use anything else. This is the same sort of sugar you'd buy at Also at Woolies or Coles or any typical supermarket. Tip him in, side, and then just stir it in. You don't have to have the hot water hot or warm. In fact, you don't really want it hot and warm at this stage when you're about to make it up, because the heat will do damage to the mother, or Scoby as some people call it. So you just stir that until it's all dissolved. Alright, that should do it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, we'll just put the mix aside. Alright, now we want to start undoing our kombuchas. Just a simple cloth made out of a bed sheet and a rubber band. Alright, here's your mother. Nice, big and fat. And then once I've taken that out, I give it a bit of a stir to get the sediment off the bottom. Put my plastic spoon back in there. I grab a plastic jug and then up to about 1 litre approximately. Depends on the size of your bottle. And with a funnel, just pour it in. Just be careful it doesn't bubble up too much. Once you got that done, put the lid on, keeps the flies from landing in it while you're working away, and then move on to the next one. As you can see, sometimes there's a little bit of chunky bit go in. Some people filter them out if you're a bit squeamish, but I don't. I just chuck them in. In my opinion, the more alive that bottle is, the greater the probiotic benefit. What I'm doing here is in part the second fermenting process that goes on with kombucha. First one is making these bottles of kombucha, and the second part is bottling them. Grab another mother, rip her out. They're friendly gals, they won't hurt you. And you're quite welcome to eat them if you wish. Eventually you've got to remove some of the mother from your bottle. After a while you end up with more mother than you do kombucha. There's no point in that. After a while you get quicker and quicker at this job. These jars, if you're wondering, hold approximately 3 litres of kombucha. I've got 4 of them, that's 12 litres. Out of 12 litres you do not get 12 litres of kombucha. You need a certain amount to help restart the next batch. Balances the pH and level of the kombucha to where it likes to be. Overall, throughout the entire week, I make 24 litres of kombucha. Of course, you don't drink all that. You need that for the next batch. I don't worry about placing the bottles in a special cupboard or anything. I just keep them generally away from direct light. You can see that's the baby on top, that little light part. Give her a stir. I bought these bottles at a reject shop where everything is generally cheap. The jug also came from a reject shop. Don't need to spend a lot of money. Some people have recommended pH strips and things for checking the acid level of the kombucha. I've never done that. I've never felt the need to do it. Life is too short to waste time checking the pH. Some people, if you want to test the flavour, grab a little straw and stick it down beside the mother and do a little taste test. Well, I just think, give it a go. Don't worry about it. There you go. I've got a rebel in my midst. The bottle has decided to misbehave. These bottles, that little cap, are also from a cheap reject shop. I only paid a couple of bucks each. So the whole operation doesn't need to be a great expense. Grab another mother out. Give it a stir. And pour away. I typically get 10 1 litre bottles out of a 12 litre batch, plus a little bit left over, which I always enjoy. Alright, now we start changing over a little bit. Alright, I've never washed these bottles out since I started using them. I don't believe you have to sterilise them with boiling water or anything. Just make sure they're clean when you start off and there's no nasty chemicals inside of them. Alright, I've got my 10 bottles aside of kombucha that's getting ready to organise for the second ferment. And I'm getting now ready to begin the first ferment for the next batch. Now what you'll need simply is a bit to start it up again and balance the pH. You'll need the syrupy tea that I made before with the sugar, some water. The water I use is water straight out of the tap, but I let it sit for 12 to 24 hours to dechlorinate. So that's all I do with that. You can just grab a jug, stick it outside or anywhere under cover, and let it sit for 12 to 24 hours and all the chlorine will come out of it. If you don't, your kombucha is going to die. Alright, so I need a total for 12 litres, I need 6 cups. So I pour that out. Alright, so you throw 1.5 into each cup. There. so that's 1.5 cups there. Then I get another 3. Put in 1.5 cups into this one. Pretty close. Then, as you see, I've got a bit still left in here. This is the bit I enjoy. I like the kombucha straight. Once you've got that, you can drink that. Yep, drink of the gods. And put it in there. So now we're up to the stage where we've got all our cultures. You can see a bit of yeast growth going on there. So no harm in any of it. None of us have got sick or got botulism. Alright. Now once you're at that stage, it wouldn't hurt to throw in the tea. Remember, that's a total of 24 actual tea bags. If I do this right. Not that well, but anyway. And 3 cups of plain sugar. Pour in a litre. Dip in about 1/2 litre. Doesn't have to be perfect. Rough enough's good enough. Too many people complicate the process. It's not necessary. A little bit of sugar at the bottom. Then just chuck it in. As long as your container's about the same size, you just chuck in the same amount each piece. Put that aside. Now remember, dechlorinated water. Now fill them up to the required amount. You'll get used to knowing what you need and what you don't need. I usually fill to about there. Always make sure I fill a certain amount because I know I get that little bit of spare stuff that I can drink every time I make a batch. Sort of like the cook's cut. So I know they're all round about there. Doesn't have to be perfect. We don't live long enough to be perfect. Alright, now, when placing your mothers back in, you might find that there's too much. This one mightn't be too bad. Just slide him back in and then let it come back to the top. I just give it a quick align and there you are. Alright, this one's a small one, so we'll put that in a slightly smaller amount of filling. This one here, as you can see, is quite big, getting fatter. So we'll just, if you want, just tear a piece off. It won't mind. And put it in. Alright, now you can eat that if you want. It won't do you any harm. Doesn't look very nice to some people, but doesn't matter. Let it come to the top. Alright. There we go. All ready to go. We'll just chuck these leftover bits of mother aside. for now. Then I'll get that little bit of residue in the bowl and just chuck it on top as if you're putting it to bed. Alright, that's done. Grab your rag, it can be a bit off a t-shirt, it can be off a bed sheet. Go down to some expensive place and buy it there if you want. Just put them down nicely, like that. That helps keep the little greeblies out of there, all the little undesirables. Alright, I put these at the foot of our bed, to be precise. You don't have to. And they're done. That's all you need to do. That's 12 litres of kombucha, which will supply you 10 litres by the time you're finished. Alright, on to the next part. Quick clean. Look like I care about it. Alright, what I'm about to do now is organise the second ferment. And all that involves is grabbing your bottle. Now my family quite likes blueberries. You can do peach, you can do mango, you can do apricot, you can do kiwi fruit, you can just about do whatever you like, as long as it's a fruit. Pretty well, plenty of sugar to feed the bacteria. The bacteria and yeasts and stuff there are alive, and we want to keep them happy and healthy. Blueberries are great for antioxidants and such. And what I do, I find it much easier, is to grab frozen blueberries. I grab a little quarter cup, scoop them out. It's round about a quarter of a cup, and then just feed them in. When they're not frozen, soft, they tend to be more like mush. Once you've done that, seal it up, and there you go. All ready. You'd leave that for as long as you like, to a large degree. Wouldn't go any more than a month. It's a bit bitter by that stage. But you can drink that tomorrow. Technically you drink it now if you wanted to, but it wouldn't have much flavour. And then you start working your way through them. Cherries aren't a bad flavour if you like cherries. I definitely recommend peaches. Peaches are quite nice. But blueberries is one of our favourite family favourites. Grab another one. As you can see, it's actually simple. Don't get too worried. I tend to find you don't need much more than a quarter cup of blueberries. I accidentally put 2 quarter cups or half a cup of blueberries in one bottle once, and it was just a bit too much. These blueberries I also got down at the local supermarket. For those purists, probably wouldn't hurt to get organic. But I'm afraid a large percentage of the world's population can't afford to do that. If you can do it, do it. But if you can't afford it, don't worry about it. Alrighty, just a few more to go. If you're going to use things like cherries or peaches or kiwi fruit or whatever you like. Just make sure you chop it up into small enough pieces to get in there and let all the good guys get at it. More surface area, better off you are. I tend to find when the weather gets rather hot, the process slows down. We're presently in late autumn, and there we go. 10 bottles of kombucha ready for the second ferment. Grab a cup. This is a bottle that's been fermenting for about 4-5 days, and you can see all the blueberries floating on top there and bubbling away nicely. It's still alive, and hopefully it won't do what it could do, and sometimes they do blow up. No, there you go. My wife opened up 2 of these this afternoon, and one of them nearly took her out. What I do use, I use the little plastic bit on the end there. That helps to stop the berries from going through. It's not too bad now because it's the first cup. I get about 2 of these cups per bottle. And there you are. 1 blueberry kombucha.